I need to begin this story with just about every disclaimer I can possibly think of. Do not try this at home. Do not attempt to do this the same way I did. Don't watch this video and say, "That girl on the internet did it. I must be able to do it too." No. Wrong. This is not a good example of good horsemanship. But it is a good story. We all get complacent with our own horses. I'm not saying that's a good thing, I'm just saying that I am not an exception. My horse is a really good boy. He tends to put up with just about any shenanigans I ask him to. I have been off and on teaching him how to drive for several years. He gets long breaks in between because we honestly both prefer riding. I definitely have no idea what I'm doing. It's trial by fire. The number one advice everyone will give you when you're teaching your horse to drive is to not do it alone. It's good advice that I have not followed. Remember how I said this is not an example of good horsemanship? So before you tear me a new one in the comments, just remember that I know I was being an idiot. The day this story takes place was the first snowfall since I had started training Rojo to drive. I hadn't put him to a cart yet because I didn't have one. But I had tied just about everything I could think of to him. So when the snow hit and there was enough to cover the gravel in the parking lot, I knew exactly what to do. I bought a cheap red toboggan, grabbed some baling twine, and tied it to the back of his harness. About half of you just grimaced. For the rest of you, let me explain why this is an incredibly dangerous idea. By tying strings to the back of a driving harness, I am providing my toboggan with no brakes. If my horse were to suddenly stop or start backing up, I am likely to be run over. He could also get his feet tangled up in the strings, creating unmitigated chaos. I felt brave because I knew exactly what my horse does when he gets his feet tangled up in ropes or strings. He stops and looks at me and waits for me to fix it. I put a lot of effort into training him to do this. I was excited enough that I felt ready. I texted a couple of friends from the barn and asked them to join me. I knew they would think it's fun, and I thought it would be nice to have a second set of hands. They both told me they would be there soon. Soon felt a bit vague, so I went out and started driving all by myself. It was awesome. I had so much fun. The snow wasn't super deep, so I had to drive over different parts of the parking lot every time I made a lap around the island. At one point, he chose to start trotting, and everything went smoothly, and it was very satisfying to move along the ground at a slow trot. For about an hour and a half, everything went great. Then he caught something out of the corner of his eye. My horse looks and acts like a quarter horse. He knows how to tuck his butt and take off from a standstill and dive into a full gallop. And that's what he did. The toboggan slid out from under my butt like when a magician pulls a tablecloth out from underneath plates. I was left there sitting in the snow, with my driving whip in one hand and my other hand still raised as if I were holding the reins, watching my horse run as fast as he can up the hill and around the building. The little red toboggan flapping in the wind behind him. He looked terrified that it was chasing him. I take a second to get my brain back online and convince my body to jump into action. You are not supposed to chase a frightened horse. They'll just start running faster, so I sped walk up the hill and glance around the side of the building. He's completely gone. This is when I start running. His barn isn't fenced in, so he does have access to the neighborhood streets. I don't ride him there much, so he doesn't know them well, and I am picturing just about every worst-case scenario you can think of. I have no idea if he turned and ran into the neighborhood or ran out into the busier main road. Either way, it could take me forever to find him, because horses don't obey private property signs. Just as panic begins to grip me, I crest the hill, and there he is, in the neighbor's pasture directly across the street from me, standing shoulder to shoulder with the neighbor's horse. They're both looking at me like they've been expecting me. There was a couple going for a merry winter walk down our street that were both staring at the ponies in the pasture with their phones out, clearly not entirely sure what to do. When they saw me, they pointed and told me, "That horse just jumped that fence!" Yeah, I told them rather lamely. Then they asked me if I was okay, and I insisted that I was, embarrassment starting to set in. They continued their walk, and I tried to decide what to do next. The neighbor's fence is laying flat where it looks like something knocked it over. I don't know if it was the toboggan or my horse's foot that clipped it as he was going over. It was low enough that I could pick my way through and go catch my horse. He stood patiently and waited for me to approach. I stroked his nose and told him it was all okay, while I wondered what the heck I should do. I don't know these neighbors. I've never been on their property. I don't know where the gates are to let myself out, and I'm not going to drag my poor horse over the toppled fence. The other problem I have is a little bit bigger. The neighbor's horse has been alone for many years. Anytime he sees or meets another horse, he refuses to leave its side. Which means that the moment I try and take my horse home, this ancient creature is going to try and climb over the toppled fence and hurt himself. And the neighbor's horse won't let me catch him. Won't even let me touch him. We're playing Ring Around the Rosie around my poor horse who's standing there as if he's still in shock over the whole ordeal. I start leading my horse towards the barn in the corner of the pasture, and the neighbor's horse follows along next to us, snorting directly at the little red toboggan. It's like he's shouting us, "Did you see you have a thing attached to you?" Yes, big guy. We know. It is a little bit hilarious, and it helps take the edge off some of my nerves. I decided to call for help. Not my two friends, who I'm still expecting to be here soon and may arrive any minute now. I call my barn owner. She's a lovely lady who sends her husband out in a golf cart to come rescue me. She walks over and shows me where the gates are and helps me lure the neighbor's horse into the barn with hay and lock him in the stall. She's already chuckling about how absolutely ridiculous this situation is. I walk Rojo back to our barn and leave him in the arena, still tied to the toboggan, to contemplate life and his choices. There's nothing in there he can get stuck on or injure himself on, so he will be fine unattended for a few minutes. Then I go back to the neighbors and help fix the fence. The neighbors had not been home that day, so they got to hear about my great adventure after the fact. They thought it was hilarious and were pleased as punch that we fixed their fence, which was already starting to fall apart. They did not have security cameras in the pasture, so we don't have any footage of what happened. We also didn't have security cameras along our driveway at the time, so I don't have any footage of the disaster. Rojo was stiff and a little bit off in the hind end for a couple months after this. It's about a 2.5-foot drop between the street and the neighbor's pasture, and he is a deplorable jumper. I'm certain he strained something going over the fence, but he recovered. He still starts pretty good at the toboggan, suspicious that it might jump up and chase him again. The result of this adventure was the creation of a new rule at the barn. It's called the 2-idiot rule. If you're going to do something stupid, there has to be at least 2 idiots present.